post-veil mind-body-spirit complexes, and welcome to this space and time. My name is Gabriel Lugo, and here I talk from self to self. Today I'm reading a relatively casual channeling from 2018, May 12th. You can find the link in the description of YouTube, so you can check out the channeling itself fully. It's a mixed bag of questions, but the most important one, or the longest one, has to do with the veiling process and the path of polarities, all that evolution jazz that we all love. So there is nothing too deep other than just discussing those concepts and processes in which the creator continually knows itself. So I'm just going to read casually. Let's see where we get to. There's some amazing questions at the end, but I'll probably leave that for the next episode. So let's start with Quo when they greet everybody. I love to read their long paragraphs when they say hello and they give us some poetic introduction to themselves. So let's read that and then we'll get to the question. This is Jim Channeling, 2018, May 12th. Quo says, I am Quo and am with this instrument. I am most happy to greet you this afternoon and to join your circle of seeking. Small though it may be, great in potential to share love and light it is. We are always overjoyed and honored to be asked to join your meditations, for this is the way that we, ourselves, progress along the path of evolution. We are your brothers and sisters, my friends. We, as you, travel this path as seekers of truth, moving perhaps a bit further along this path and yet working with the same catalyst that is yours to work with in many ways, more subtle perhaps, and yet more vivifying of the experience that we gather about us as we proceed upon this path. We ask one favor, as you are aware, and that is that you will take those words and thoughts which we have to offer you today and use them as you will. If it be of service to you, that is a good thing. If they not be of service, then leave them aside and let that be a good thing too. If you would do this favor for us, it will free us to give you that which we have to share without any fear that we shall infringe upon your free will by so sharing. At this time, we would ask, in conjunction with your new format, ask if there might be any queries to which we would speak. Before we get to the question, I would like to emphasize something. As they explain that they are our brothers and sisters, they are part of us, and in a sense they are aspects of ourselves. And this is all within the cosmic mind, you see. Within the cosmic mind, we're all brothers and sisters, all of us. Any expression, it's a manifestation family. And yet, the Creator is one. This is the paradox that we all seek to resolve by communing with the Creator and realizing what it is to be the Creator. So, all of this is always present in the information that the Confederation offer us, because that's just the nature of reality itself. So, it's important to mention, at least in my books, all entities are not separate entities. There are aspects of this one self, and we are an aspect of that one self, that being the mind, yet we are all the Creator. So always to keep in mind that it's an apparent paradox that we feel a separate individual, a separate entity, and yet we are one and the same. And this is what we celebrate in all densities of consciousness, really. So Alright, Gary is the one asking the question for their friend Fox and says, thank you for the opportunity, Quo. We would have a couple of questions from our friend Fox, who asks, in the book Carla channeled called A Book of Days, it states that the dealings of the two polarities are separate, negative polarity being the choice to separate from positive unity. Her question asks, before the veil there was only service to others, or positive unity. Is it an actual choice in third density to remain in positive unity, or is the only real choice that of separating from positive polarity and moving to negative polarity? Now, before getting into Quo's answer, a little bit of context. There is the positive polarity and the negative polarity. The positive one seeks to dissolve itself into the unity that is inherent in our reality. The negative polarity seeks to enhance that seeming separateness that divide us. And so these two polarities work together to create a macrocosmic harmony of evolution between entities. This is the exchange of positive and negative to create electromagnetic fields. And so we live through this mechanism. The mind actually works through this mechanism. See, the mind is dualistic, so it needs both polarities. One polarity is not better than the other. They're just part of the same system of mind. So we're going to explore that in the ethical polarity of positive unity, or positive understanding of the unity of the universe. Then is that really a choice? Because it seems that the choice is either to become separate or to remember that we are one. So let's see what Quo says. They say, I am Quo and am aware of your query, my brother. Within this illusion that you now experience that has been created as it is because of the existence of what you call the veil of forgetting, there is indeed a choice that can be made and must needs be made. If entities are to be, shall we say, graduated into the fourth density of love and understanding. This choice, as you are aware, is that which is to be either of service to others or service to self. Now, upon the surface of it, it would seem that there are indeed two distinct choices in this condition that has resulted because of the presence and the implementation of the veil of forgetting by those logoi who have been, shall we say, able to prosper or benefit from the earlier logoi who had no such veil and had some difficulty within the third density illusion of shepherding the flock through the third density because of a seeming lack of choice. So, just to refresh and clarify, the positive and negative polarity are enhanced by this veil of forgetting. We'll find out why, but the veil of forgetting is that system in which the incarnated entity is not able to perceive its own nature, not clearly at least, and it seems that the separation is enhanced. The sensation of separation is enhanced by the means of, say, the structure of each third density. In our case, the human body. The human body has the perception that it is separate from the environment, even though it's really clear for the, at least for the person that lives in nature, it realizes intuitively that it's one with nature because it lives out of nature. It produces everything that nature needs as a byproduct, and it can live in harmony with it. So it's not a separate entity. It belongs to a whole. But this exploration of the whole actually goes deeper, as we know, because we find out as we analyze who we are. That is the real question here. When we explore the question, who am I? we can go to the depths of this universe and actually realize that we are the one creator who is creating everything. So that is penetrating the veil while in third density. However, they're talking about the implementation of the veil for the choice that is made between positive polarity and negative polarity. This is what gives rise to the evolution of the soul, or the mind-body-spirit complex as it is. So they continue saying, in reality, in the larger sense, shall we say, when one looks at the outcome of each choice, that of service to others and service to self, as each grouping of entities continues to proceed along the evolutionary path, there is a distinct difference between each choice. Separation is the polar opposite of communion and coming into unity, and yet each polarity deals with the desire to become, once again, the one infinite creator. The means by which this desire is fulfilled seems to be quite opposite and different from the negative polarity, in that it intends and does indeed separate itself from all other selves, and compacts itself to the degree that it seems totally removed from all around it. And yet one must remember that there is nothing in motion that has not been made and which does not contain the one creator. The creator has made all that is, and has provided free will in the ultimate sense for each portion of its own being, both those portions which seek to radiate the love and light of the one creator, and those which seek to absorb the love and light of the one creator. And yet both deal with the love and the light of the one creator for the purpose of moving back into unity with the one creator. Get used to the one creator here, because we're going to mention it a lot. You see, this is going to be simplified by my way of explaining things, I hope. First of all, they're explaining very explicitly what happens in separation. You simply become contracted is a really good word, because you see, when you expand yourselves, you become the whole universe. It's a recognition of who you are that makes you feel expanded, you see. But when you move into the negative polarity, what you're doing is you're contracting this apparent self that exists. Metaphysically, this is perceived as the energizing and a sort of harmony that creates the negative entity between the first three energy centers, blocking the heart, because no energy can go to the heart. It's a very mechanistic view, but quite accurate to see that blocking the heart creates a potential energy to be used and harmonized between these three energy centers to make contact with intelligent infinity, which is the contact with the opening of the indigo ray. So as the negative entity contracts itself, it perceivably, because it perceives that it's a separate entity, then it does, becomes a sort of individualized portion of the one creator. Now they do emphasize that clearly everything is the one creator, because the positive one is trying to radiate this light to everybody that we are one, whereas the negative one is saying, I am the one and I need to put this in order because all of you are fools. You are not the one creator. Clearly I am. So you see, both are right, because in the positive polarity, one recognizes its true being and says, I am one with everything. But the other one says, I am the one creator and I need to prove it to these fools that I am the one. And so how do I do it? Clearly because they're easy to be manipulated. They're sheep. So I can manipulate them, I can control them. So it's important to to mention that, yes, the positive one seeks to radiate and the negative one seeks to absorb. And both of them are the one creator. Now, what is the one creator here? Consciousness. In my teachings, because you will find the word consciousness thrown in around everywhere in the spiritual communities, and different people use it for different reasons, but in my teachings, consciousness refers to that recognition of your true being, the one self, the one creator, the knowing, the presence of your own being. It's not even a sensation. I can't even say it's a state of being. It simply is, and you are. So that's it. It's so simple. So that recognition is the one creator. Now, the one creator is enjoying both polarities, as you can see, because it's the same consciousness that is saying, I am separate and I must dominate. And the other one saying, hey, I recognize myself and I want to radiate this. That is the positive polarity. But you can see how the one creator has no polarity. It's neither positive nor negative. It's just the one that experiences both. So, they continue. In this regard, it would seem that the basic elements of each path are the same. It is the means by which the desire of each polarity is manifested that makes the paths appear different. But we must remember, my friends, that much of what is an appearance in any aspect or polarity is an illusion that exists for the purpose of aiding each path to progress to its final destination. All the creation is an illusion or a distortion of the one creator to assist portions of the one creator to travel through the one creator in order to return to the one creator. All of the action, the thought, and the being within the one infinite creation is a means by which the creator learns more of itself from itself. Alright, I have to admit that quote didn't have to throw in the one creator that many times. I think their wording could be better. I need to criticize this, send a memo to the Confederation, and ask for some clarification on all of this. A beautiful paragraph, though, as you can see. This first part, let's reread it. In this regard, in the sense that it's the one creator experiencing everything, it would seem that the basic elements of each path are the same, right? Because it's the one creator experiencing both. It is the means by which the desire of each polarity is manifested that makes the paths appear different. Why? Because one path wants to radiate the love and light. The other one wants to absorb it. That's okay. Two different games. They're both games. That's what they're saying. We must remember, my friends, that much of what is an appearance is actually an illusion. So, yeah, all of this is an illusion. When you believe and when you see people saying that there is a path to help others and we must be positive. Well, that's a path, sure, to the one creator. You can take that path and go on. Service to others. And there is the negative path too. Okay, we know that. Negative path, manipulation, control over others, and power, and all of this. Okay, that's great. But to realize the one creator, you need neither. This is what many people don't know. People believe that spiritual work is being as much positive as possible. Not really. You can be as much negative as you want and also be spiritual in the sense that you are polarizing yourself. But you don't need to be spiritual at all to recognize the one creator and to abide in the one creator, within the one creator. You see, it's a misconception in spiritual communities to believe that you have to be positive or you have to be negative, otherwise you will never see God. That is so nonsense. You are God already. You don't have to go and see God. This is the ego, the spiritual ego, always trying to get in the way and make its own things and say, we're getting there, we are getting there. There is no we, there is no I, other than the one I that exists. You see, so it's really quite simple. Now, you may be saying, Gabe, come on, but what about this evolution and all of this? Well, I'll get to that at the end. They continue saying, in the situation that existed before the veil of forgetting, it seemed that there was not so much free will available to third density entities. Yet these entities in themselves were each capable and free to make choices regarding each aspect of their spiritual journey. However, it could be said that because there was no veil, there was no opportunity to proceed as quickly as was later possible after the implementation of the veil of forgetting. For when it is not easily apparent to a third density entity that it is the one creator, that all of the facets of unity, of love, and of light that belong to the one creator, and each of its portions are not obvious, then it is that the entity in third density must work in the conscious sense to exercise its own will and faith that such possibilities are true and can be realized by each entity. This is an arduous process, my friends, taking many, as you know, incarnations in order to accomplish this polarization in consciousness, which is actually the action of each third density entity after the veil of forgetting was implemented. So this is simply explaining the fact that before the veil, there was in third density entities the connection, the view. You could see everything. You could see time-space very clear. You could see all the connections between all of us. It was so easy to see and say, we are all one. It's obvious to us. So for us to create lessons of learning to go to fourth density, lessons of love, is quite difficult because no matter what we did, we weren't invested into it. Now, with the implementation of the veil, however, there is this struggle to find who am I? What is this? You see, and as you die over and over again, you keep seeing the mistakes of not seeing the unity of all things. And so you become even more pointed focused, because you want to keep polarizing. You want to continue this path of polarization in whatever selection the entity made. But that's the process, it becomes very difficult. So it needs to be through many incarnations. And that is third density after the veil of forgetting. Before the veil, again, it was just very hippie, if you will. Everybody was just, it's just love and light. We're all it, so why do we care? We're enjoying this. Let's just continue being who we are. So, in the next paragraphs, they say, all of the trial and error, the spiritual sweat, shall we say, that has been spent attempting to make a coherent sense out of the life pattern is the basics of the polarization process. This is where progress, ironically enough and paradoxically enough, is most rapid, when the truth is hidden from the third density being, when the attempt must be made to attempt to find the truth, and whether this takes a moment or a lifetime or a series of lifetimes, still the progress is far quicker with the veil in place than without it. For without the veil, what is the motivation to change the conditions that are observed to be of unity where each is the creator? There is no fear or love so great as to motivate a change in attitude or position. So you see, the veil of forgetting is huge because it creates this necessity for faith, because you will never be able to prove to anybody, as we so much love in the society ruled by the scientific thoughts. We need proof. Well, you can't prove that. You can only show to people. You can only guide people to this, to themselves. You can only guide people to themselves. Sounds ridiculous, but that's the way it is. We guide people to themselves. We can never guide them anywhere else. You will never be able to teach them anything that they don't already know. You see, that's the key. That's the key for the guide, for the teacher. It's to know that they already know, but they haven't made the connections. So you just take them for a ride in their own imagination, in their own mind, in their own experiences. That's what I love about these teachings. You don't teach anything, you guide them. Teaching is a bad word, but a teach learning exercise. That's what we do. We take people for a walk in their own mind. So yeah, we need this veil to forget who we are. We need this veil to enhance this seeking process. Final paragraph, they say, therefore, we would say that it is a matter of perspective that one may see from a distance, shall we say, that reveals that in truth the only choice for all entities before or after the veil is to return to the one Creator, to have many, many experiences of this journey home, on this journey home. The question then becomes, shall some means be implemented that accelerates this journey, for all eventually learn, some more quickly than others? You see, this is where the end of the paragraph is, and then they ask if there's another query. I'll see if I can keep reading or finish it here, because this question is actually amazing. You see, they say that it is from this, from here, from this veil. They say that reveals that in truth, the only choice of all entities before or after the veil is to return to the one Creator, to have many experiences on this journey home. So this veil actually enhances the experiences as well for the Creator to know itself, on either polarity, of course, because it really potentiates that. And so the question becomes, shall some means be implemented that accelerates this journey? Because eventually all will learn. And so this is a really good question for the mind of the Creator to ask, actually, because do we really need to be helping others? Now, there is a natural tendency for entities to want to share what we know. So this is a question that obviously I cannot answer. This is a question for everybody to ponder, but I'll give you the elements, because even though we love to share, look what happens when we in human society have tried to help others. We've only caused trouble. I'm not making this up. You look in history and you see that whenever we had ideals and we wanted to change people, barring of course this use of negative, manipulative, let me go bring you democracy kind of thing. That's quite recent, but even, well, you can say that all is negative, that's fine. But any idealistic view, even the people who were in the Crusades, they were thinking that they were doing something good. In their hearts, they thought they were doing something good. People who are in the military right now, shooting at people, killing people, I have nothing against them, that's just the Creator experiencing itself. However, they may think that they're doing something good for their country, for their platoon, for their brothers and sisters there. It's a really good question. Are we doing any good in bringing some sort of liberation to others? Are we bringing them something that they need? Even when we try to help somebody by saying, here, let's talk, you're having so many issues, I'm going to resolve your problems by telling you, read the Bible, read the Law of One, like that sort of thing. Is it really needed? Well, let's go to the macrocosmic plan. Well, Maldek was destroyed, so let's grab all these entities and bring them to Earth. Then Mars destroyed their planet, their atmosphere, and so, well, let's just do this infringement on free will and enter planet Earth and make them incarnate in third density bodies. Then, of course, because we broke the free will of the planet, might as well just bring everybody from everywhere else. Because we're helping the universe, aren't we? You see, these are the entities. They are no wiser. They're learning still, and so they're making all of this. Now, I know some people may take this as, oh, they ruined planet Earth. No, they didn't. You see, that would be an idealistic point of view that, oh, the planet should have been left alone. It's a question to ponder, really. Should the Crusades had been, should Hitler had exist, just anything. These things were they needed, were all these attempts to be, to improve somehow other people, were they needed? It's a good question. It depends on anybody. How idealistic are you, my friends? And that'll answer the question. Now, there are more questions here, but I will leave them for another episode and just circle back to the beginning of the question or the answer when they talked about polarities and how the creator experiences both polarities. This is a very crucial point to understand non-duality or the law of one, which brings you to the recognition that what you are is not a separate entity. What you are is not an incomplete entity at all. You are a fully completed entity that is simply enjoying the ride back to unity. The perception of an incomplete entity is only perceived from the outside in. When you see that you're having an experience, that you're having things happening in your life, that all of these things are somehow being integrated in your life. But from the inside out, there is the perspective of equanimity with everything. You see, this is because we don't get invested in the polarities, positive, negative. I must be of service to others. I must be service to self because I am separate entity and so on. You see, this is the recognition that you are, and just like you are, everything is. It sounds so basic, and yet is the crux of self-realization. It needs no explanation, it needs no words, it needs no definitions, it needs no names. It simply is, and you are. You are that. We can see this in so many traditions, how they always point to this one direction of beingness, what we are. And so the one infinite creator is experiencing both polarities. Now, where the choices of this mind-body-spirit complexes go, well, that's not even a function of an entity that exists. We can call it free will, sure, because each mind-body-spirit complex has free will, actually is free will, and directs its attention to whichever path seems more likely to be of benefit to itself. And so what I wanted to divide here was, or explain, was how we have always been this pure presence that is experiencing this apparent entity that is in evolution, and there is no personality beyond this human form. There is only the experiencing of the one creator through the different densities of consciousness by simply watching the experience develop into whatever path it took back to unity. That is what creates the whole experience of the creator. And the most important thing is that you don't forget that you are that. So with this, I come to the end of this episode. There are some other questions that kind of riff off of this initial question, but I'll leave them for the next episode, as well as the last two. I would recommend that you go and read the full session and check out those last two questions, which are amazing. I won't talk about them here because this is the end of this episode. I appreciate you, as always, for being there, for listening. And with nothing else to say, I'll catch you in the next one.